right, so this is going to be part 2 of section 7.2, where we are multiplying polynomials. We finished the last video with multiplying binomials, where we can use the FOIL method or the grid method. Okay, so we are going to continue actually with a few more examples of this. This is probably the more often or the more common of what you'll see is multiplying binomials. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue with that. So let's go back to the FOIL method. So 2x times x, 2x squared. 2x times a negative 5 gives me a negative 10x. 4 times x gives me 4x. And then 4 times negative 5 gives me negative 20. Combine your like terms. So I get 2x squared. Remember, this is a negative out here. So a negative 10x plus 4x will give me a negative 6x minus 20. And that gives us our final answer. On our next one, let's go ahead and try the grid method on this one, just for those of you that prefer the grid method. So we can do 5x, and it's a negative 4 here, so 5x minus 4, and then 2x plus 1. Okay, I like that this one has the minus 4 so that you can see that you do have to have that negative when it comes to using the grid method still. All right, so in our first box, we have 5x times 2x, so we get 10x squared. Let's go ahead and go down here. So we've got 5x times 1, and we get 5x. Over here, we have 2x times a negative 4, so we get negative 8x. And then in our last box, we have 1 times a negative 4, so we get negative 4. Bringing out that 10x squared. Combine your like terms. Again, remember that this is a negative here, so negative 8x plus 5x. So we get negative 3x and then minus 4. And then our last example. And on this one, I'm going to go ahead and do both methods again, just so for those of you who actually want to continue doing both methods to check your answer, I think that's a great idea. So 3x times 2x is our first, so we get 6x squared. Our outer is 3x times 4, so plus 12x. Inner is negative 5 times 2x, so negative 10x. And then our last one's negative 5 times 4, negative 20. Combine our like terms. We get 6x squared. Again, this is a minus here, so we get a positive 2x minus 20. And this is what we should get as well with the grid method. So let's double check. Oh, it's moving on me again. All right, we have 3x minus 5 and 2x plus 4. So 2x times 3x gives us 6x squared. 2x times a negative 5 gives us a negative 10x. 3x times 4 gives us 12x. And then 4 times negative 5 gives us negative 20. If we combine our like terms, again, we get 6x squared plus 2x minus 20. So again, no matter which way you're doing it, you're going to get that same answer. All right, so now we are going to move on to multiplying a trinomial and a binomial. So notice, trinomial has 3, binomial has 2. All right, so when we are doing this, there's not a nice fancy FOIL name or anything like that when it comes to distributing, okay? But I'm going to show you what that looks like. When it comes to distributing, for those of you that preferred the FOIL method, what you are doing is making sure that every single term in the first set of parentheses is multiplied by every term in the second set of parentheses. So this first term of x squared, I've got x squared times 3x. So that gives me 3x cubed. Remember, your x squared times x gives you x cubed. Now, I also need to make sure that I multiply that by the second term in the second set of parentheses. So x squared times 4 will give me a positive 4x squared. So now I'm going to move on to the second term in my first set of parentheses. So I've got 2x times 3x will give me my positive 6x squared. X times x gives us x squared. 2x times 4 will give me a positive 8x. And now that I have done the second term, I'm going to move on to the third term. And again, I have to make sure that this third term is multiplied by everything in the second set of parentheses. So negative 1 times 3x gives me a negative 3x. And negative 1 times 4 gives me a negative 4. Once I've done that, I need to go through and combine all of my like terms. My x cubed, there's no other x cubed, so I just bring that down. And I have 3x cubed. For my x squareds, I've got 4x squared and I have 6x squared. Okay, so from here, I get 10x squared. When I come to my 8x, I've also got a negative 3x, which gives me 5x. And then I've only got one constant, which is that negative 4. So I have a final answer of 3x cubed plus 10x squared plus 5x minus 4. For those of you that preferred the table method, again, or the grid method, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like here. All right, so I've got my x squared, which was my first term over here, x squared plus 2x minus 1 on top, and then 3x plus 4 going along the side. So x squared times 3x still gives me that 3x cubed. X squared times 4 still gives me that 4x squared. Okay, moving on to the next term, which is 2x. 2x times 3x gives me my 6x squared. 2x times 4 gives me my 8x. And then the last term of negative 1. Negative 1 times 3x gives me a negative 3x. Negative 1 times 4 gives me a negative 4. From here, again, I combine my like terms. 3x cubed didn't have anything to combine, so I bring that down. 6x squared and 4x squared combine to give you 10x squared. And then my negative 3x and 8x combine to give you a positive 5x, and then I've got my negative 4. Again, either way you do it, whether you are distributing or using that grid method or that table, you're going to get the same answer, okay? All right. So for our next one, our next example, this time we've switched it. We've put our binomial first. Okay, we've got our binomial, and we're going to multiply it by a trinomial. Remember, everything in the first gets multiplied by everything in the second. So I'm going to start with my 2x here. So I'm going to do 2x times negative 3x squared. 2 times negative 3 gives me a negative 6x, or sorry, not negative 6x, gives me negative 6. And then my x times x squared gives me x cubed. So I've got negative 6x cubed. My first term in my first also gets multiplied by that second term in the trinomial. 2 times 4 gives us 8. X times x gives us x squared. And then the first term in the binomial also gets multiplied by that third term in the trinomial. 2 times negative 7 gives us negative 14, and bring along that x. We still have our second term to multiply by everything. So negative 5 times negative 3x squared, I get a positive 15x squared. Negative 5 times 4x gives us a negative 20x. And then negative 5 times negative 7 gives us a positive 35. Again, just like before, we are going to go through and combine our like terms. Cubed has nothing else, so we get a negative 6x cubed. For my squared term, I've got 8x squared and a 15x squared, both positive. So I end up with a positive 23x squared. I have negative 14x and a negative 20x, both are negative. So I've got a negative 34x. And then I bring along that constant of 35 because it has nothing else to combine with. So we end with negative 6x cubed plus 23x squared minus 34x plus 35. Yes, it's a mouthful, but it is correct. All right, on this next one, let's go ahead and do the grid method for those of you that prefer that method. I'm going to put my binomial along the side. So negative 3x squared plus 1. And my trinomial of 2x squared plus 3x minus 4 on top. All right, so the first column here, we've got negative 3x squared times 2x squared. So my first column, negative 3 times 2, I get negative 6. X squared times x squared gives me x to the 4th. Remember, you add those together. All right, and then 1 times 2x squared just gives me 2x squared still. So that one's going to make things nice and easy. All right, our next one, we've got negative 3 times 3 gives us negative 9. X squared times x gives us x cubed. 1 times 3x just again gives us that 3x. All right, and then for our last term, we've got negative 3x squared times negative 4. So negative 3 times a negative 4 gives us a positive 12. And then we bring along that x squared. And then 1 times negative 4 just brings us that negative 4. And so let's go ahead and look at our like terms. There's nothing else to the 4th. So we have negative 6x fourth. All right, and it looks like we've got just 1 cubed as well. Okay, so we get a negative 9x cubed. We've got 2 squareds here. So we've got 2x squared plus 12x squared, which gives us positive 14x squared. We've got a 3x, and then we have that negative 4. I don't like how that x looked. There we go. And then we've got that negative 4. So our final answer here is negative 6x to the 4th power minus 9x cubed plus 14x squared plus 3x minus 4. Which again, I know is a mouthful, but it is correct. All right, so it looks like I'm actually going to have to break this into 3 different videos. I know that this is a long one, but again, it's just because I'm trying to give you a bunch of examples for you to look at. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and stop this video here, and then hopefully I can get everything else into that final video in part 3, and we've just got a few more examples to go.